morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, May 22nd, 2017. I am Dave Biddle, and I'm very happy to be joined by Patrick Murphy. Patrick, four-star defensive tackle Aeneas Hawkins out of Cincinnati, announced his top 7 yesterday. The top 7 includes Ohio State, Alabama, USC, Penn State, Notre Dame. Those 5 schools right there. Then Kentucky and Cincinnati. Like what schools don't fit in that mix there? However, this is an interesting situation. Some of those offers are uncommittable. Certainly, I've been told the Alabama offer is non-committable. The USC offer is non-committable, and we can have a show on a different day just talk about the ridiculousness that is non-committable offers. But it sounds like it's down to pretty much Ohio State, Cincinnati, and maybe Penn State. Looking at the crystal ball, 55% to Ohio State, 27% to UC, 18% to Penn State. Just what do you think, just gut feeling? I know your recruiting's not your beat, but gut feeling, where do you think Hawkins is going to end up in the end?
Yeah, doing some research on this as the kid, made his announcement yesterday about his narrowing down of his list. It's interesting because I think, Ohio State likes this kid. It's just a matter of how much and what else they're going to be able to get in this recruiting class. Obviously, they already have Teron Vincent, the defensive tackle, 5-star guy committed. I know there's some other guys that they're interested in. This is an Ohio kid who, Urban Meyer's talked about keeping the best prospects in state coming to Ohio State. So, you don't want to mess with that too much. But then again, the Buckeyes have to do what's going to be best for them on the field in the long run. If I had to guess right now, if he committed to Ohio State, I'm not sure that they would take him. I think they'd want to wait and see what else was going on. Cincinnati seems like a great program for him. He's from down there. Obviously, they're in the attempt of turning things around with Luke Fickell taking over there. So, some Buckeye ties there. But yeah, it seems like he wants to be a Buckeye, and if he gets the opportunity, that's the way he'll go. But the opportunity isn't guaranteed from everything I'm seeing, hearing, and reading.
That's exactly right. I talked to our Alex Gleitman about this earlier this morning, in fact, and it's just amazing when you think about this. I mean, so Ohio State, it's not for sure that it's a non-committable offer. It's just, as Alex said, he's not sold that Ohio State would take Aeneas Hawkins right now. So there's a little bit of debate whether or not it's a committable or non-committable offer for him. But what I want to talk about is how that is even a thing. Like, we're not talking about some 3-star kid that maybe is underrated, but he's a local kid and they know he's really good. This is a kid that is a high 4-star kid. One of the top players in Ohio, one of the top 300 players in the country, the number 23 defensive tackle in the country. And there's some debate whether or not he could even commit to Ohio State if he wanted to. I mean, that in itself is pretty amazing. This is where the recruiting level has reached.
Sure. I mean, recruiting is a I don't want to say a dirty game because I don't think that's the right word, but it's certainly got some interesting aspects to it, and I think we're all aware of that. These programs are trying to win, and because they're trying to win, they want the best players possible. With the way everything's set up, with how guys end up at your program, sometimes you have to try and wait and see what decisions other players make. I think it ultimately comes down to a matter of what he wants to do. If Hawkins really wants to be a Buckeye, I think he'll wait and see, at a program like Cincinnati, if he's also very interested in them, which it sounds like he might be, that could be an opportunity that isn't going to go anywhere. So if Ohio State doesn't end up being an option, I think Luke Fickell would take him down there without, too much hesitancy. But yeah, I mean, it is weird to think that a guy that is this highly ranked that, has offers from, some pretty major programs can't just decide, hey, this is where I want to go. And those programs are ready to open the door and welcome him in with open arms. I know recruiting rankings don't mean everything. Obviously, Urban Meyer, Larry Johnson, staff at Ohio State do their own homework. So, who knows exactly how they feel about each prospect, but it is a little strange, and it is kind of the gray area of recruiting that we don't like to talk about all the time necessarily.
If he does join this class, he'll just add to what is already a stellar class. The Buckeyes,
sure,
number 2 in the country in the 24/7 Sports Composite. They have passed Penn State for the number one class in the Big Ten. I thought that was inevitable, and Penn State's putting together a great class. Just Ohio State's average star ranking is off the charts. It's the highest in the country. They have 2 5-stars and 8 high 4-stars. I mean, it's amazing that Dallas Gant, who committed last Tuesday, is the second lowest rated member of the class. 24/7 Sports has him as the number one outside linebacker in the country. He's the second lowest rated member of the class. It's just staggering the level they are recruiting at. So we will keep everybody updated on the Aeneas Hawkins situation. But I want to move on, Patrick, and talk about Kevin Wilson. Going to talk about his impact on the offense in a minute. I want to talk about the off-the-field stuff that everybody seemed to be so hot and bothered by. It has blown over, and that is no surprise to me. Do you agree it's blown over? Are you surprised, not surprised? Just the off-the-field stuff to me just seems like it has blown over in regard to Kevin Wilson.
Yeah, I think when, news first came out that he was, parting ways, so to speak, with Indiana, everyone was really curious about what was going on. And as more stuff came out, I think it became more and more obvious that, that he wasn't necessarily mistreating players in the way that maybe it was first reported by some. Obviously ESPN sent out outside the lines to our media availability with Kevin Wilson. They kind of took over the interview, and I thought he handled it well, and we've talked about this before on here, but their investigation didn't find much. Ohio State didn't find anything that raised any red flags during the hiring process, and I know they took that pretty seriously with the athletic department. So, in my mind, if two, different organizations, one with, the motives to, hire this guy, and another, really trying to find something, go through the whole process and don't come away with anything, then, from what I've heard, going along with all that, case closed. If something comes out later, then the Buckeyes are going to have to deal with it and kind of face the consequences. But I think they did their homework, and I think ESPN's lack of information from all that kind of finds the same outcome. He's certainly a hard-nosed guy. He expects a lot from his players. You can tell that in just talking to him. But he also seems to care about his players. And all of the Ohio State players I talk to that are on the offensive side of the ball are really excited about what they saw from his coaching in spring practice. I think that he's going to be a good fit at Ohio State. I think these guys want to get to work. They want to improve on an offense that's probably underachieved the last few years. And, he's a guy that is going to demand that these players put their best foot forward on the field each day.
Yeah, Ohio State the last 2 years, last season they finished 81st in the country in passing, which was actually an improvement over the previous year when they finished 100th in the country in passing. So let's talk about what type of impact Kevin Wilson can have on this offense, not just passing, but overall. I think there's no doubt they're still going to be able to run the ball. That's always been a staple of the Urban Meyer offense. And Kevin Wilson's offenses at Indiana always ran the ball well.
Yeah, for sure.
What type of impact do you expect in year one? Do you think he can have a huge impact where they go from, I'm not saying the number, they're not going to go from like 81st in the country in passing to first, not even focusing on passing, just overall offense. Can he take them from like kind of middle of the pack in the country to like a top 10 offense, top 20? What do you expect from year one of Kevin Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have high expectations. It's Ohio State. The way, we're just talking about this recruiting class. Well, Urban Meyer's recruiting classes have all been really good. Tops in the Big Ten. And, offensive firepower, is included on that. I think that, whether people have been underutilized, and we've seen that with some of the, weapons that have gone on to have success in the NFL, or, the play calling, whatever you want to say it was, I think Kevin Wilson is a guy that will help do that. And I say that along with the guys already in place and Ryan Day that they brought in, because I'm high on both of those hirings. I think that, he's a guy who's proven it at Oklahoma. Obviously some very big, offensive numbers were put up there while he was there. Heisman Trophy winners, guys that contended for Heisman trophies. Then he went to Indiana and turned a team that offensively was kind of an afterthought to one of the better offenses in the Big Ten. And, Ohio State knows firsthand how good that offense was. Urban Meyer talked about it pretty much every year when they had to face the Hoosiers. So, if he can do that at Indiana, and obviously, that wasn't just him, but, if he can do that at Indiana, the level of athletes, the skill level at Ohio State is obviously different. I'm not sure why, unless things just don't work out for some reason, and by all accounts in the spring, these coaches seem to be getting along well. The players seem to be happy with the coaching staff. I'm not sure why, it wouldn't work out. Will Ohio State jump to the top of the pack? I'm not sure about that. This is a program that has never been elite offensively, but I think they're certainly making strides in that direction. I have confidence in JT Barrett. I know there's a lot of question marks about him still, but I think with the right people around him, both coaching staff and players, Kevin Wilson's offense, and the tweaks that they're going to make, along with Ryan Day working with him on various things, I think it's going to make a world of difference, and it'll be fun to watch this fall.
Great stuff as always from Patrick Murphy, and Patrick has the distinction of recently surviving a bachelor party to Vegas. Any stories you want to share from that trip to Vegas? Of course not.
Yeah, I think the expression is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But it was a good time.
That's correct.
And now I'm back.
That's correct. So, I wanted to make sure you didn't break the rule there. I'm glad you came back, and I'm glad you did not die in Vegas, because that's always a possibility to go there, especially for a bachelor party. So good to have you back, and thanks to all the listeners out there for tuning in the show. I appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great day. Let's hear some Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.